remember that night. It was a Friday in early November. The kind of evening when the cold has already moved into the streets, but the building's heating still isn't on. I got home from work around 7. The day had been nothing special: meetings, calls, people complaining about deadlines. I was tired. The apartment was cold. I switched on a small space heater and tossed my bag onto the couch. There was some coffee left in the pot from that morning. I reheated it and turned on the TV. Some home renovation show was playing, people painting walls, arguing about tile choices. I wasn't actually watching. I just listened to the voices. I liked having sound in the apartment. Without it, the place felt too empty. I hadn't seen my girlfriend, Claire, in a week. She worked in another city and only came down on weekends. That day she texted that she'd be late and would come tomorrow instead. I was used to it. I was used to being alone. It had been like that for nearly 2 years. I ate a grilled cheese at the coffee table and stared at the TV as strangers argued about wall colors. Outside, it was already dark even though it was barely 7. In November, the night comes early. That's when I heard it. A sound. A knock. A clear, sharp knock on the wall. On my wall. The one to my left. I stopped chewing and listened. Nothing else followed. Just that one contact. Maybe it was the TV. I muted it. Silence. I turned the sound back on. 5 minutes later, it happened again. This time, I knew for sure it was coming from the apartment next door. My neighbor. Some woman. I didn't know her name. I remembered she'd moved in maybe 3 months earlier. She seemed young. Sometimes I heard her walking around, but not often. She was a quiet neighbor. I figured she must have dropped something. I went back to my food. But then it came again. 3 times in a row. Knock. 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 And it wasn't the sound of something falling. It was the sound of fingers. Intentional knocking. I got up and went over to the wall. Pressed my ear against it. Nothing. I rapped my knuckles once in reply. Silence stretched out for 20 minutes. I decided that was the end of it and went back to the couch. I put on a movie, some crime thriller I'd seen twice already. Then the knocking came back. But this time it wasn't on the wall. It was on the heating pipe. I know exactly how that sounds. I've lived in that building for 10 years. A knock on the pipe isn't like anything else. It rings down the whole line. Usually it means someone's trying to get a neighbor's attention. Turn down your music. Keep it down up there. That kind of thing. But who was knocking now? It wasn't the woman on my left. It was coming from somewhere else in the building. I got up and opened my window. The air from outside slipped in, sharp and damp. It was dark out. The yellow hallway light from the front entrance spilled over the sidewalk. Cars were parked tight along the street. Everything looked normal. I shut the window. The next day, nothing happened. I went to work. I ate. I watched TV. Everything was normal. But when I came home, I found myself checking the wall. By habit. I stood there and listened. Nothing. On Monday, the knocking came back. That evening, around 8. 3 times. Knock. 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 I went to the wall again. Knocked back twice. This time, I heard a slightly louder response. Like whoever was on the other side had pressed their ear to the wall and knocked a little harder, just to make sure I heard. I felt something I didn't want to name yet. A strange sensation, like someone was studying me through the drywall. I called Claire. "Can you come over tonight?" I asked. I didn't mention the knocking. I didn't know how to explain it without sounding stupid. "No," she said. "I'll be there this weekend, I promise." "Is something wrong?" "No. I just miss you." She came on Saturday. I told her about the knocking. She smiled. "Maybe she just wants to introduce herself," Claire said. "Maybe she's alone and bored." I didn't find that funny. "It might just be a neighbor," she went on. "Maybe she needs help. Maybe she has plumbing issues and she's trying to get someone's attention." I went next door and rang the bell. No answer. I rang again. Nothing. "Maybe she's out," Claire said. We didn't bring it up again. But when Claire left on Sunday night, the knocking came back. This time it wasn't just a random tap on the wall. It was constant. Knock. 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 Over and over, like a rhythm. Like a heartbeat slamming into the wall. I turned the music up. I tried not to listen. But I heard it anyway. It went on for almost an hour and a half. Then it stopped. I called the building manager. "Do you have contact info for the woman in 3B?" I asked. "The one on my left?" "Her name's Rachel," he said. "But I can't give you her number. If you have a problem, I'll reach out to her myself." "No, it's fine," I lied. "I was just curious." The next day I went to her door and left a note. "Hi, I'm your neighbor in 3C. If you need anything, you can knock on my door or call. No need to bang on the wall." The following day, the note was gone. No reply. But the knocking continued. It started coming every night now. At 9. Exactly 9. Always 3 knocks. Pause. 3 more. Always the same. I started waiting for it. I'd sit on the couch with coffee and stare at the clock. When the minute hand crept toward 9, I'd tense up. And right on time, it would come. Knock. 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 Every single time. I called Claire. "Do you think it's normal," I asked, "for someone to knock on the wall at exactly 9 every night?" "Maybe it's her schedule," she said. "Maybe she gets home at 9 and knocks so you know she's back. Like some weird ritual." It was a strange theory. But I nodded along. I wanted it to be something small and harmless. After about a week, I decided to respond. Every night at 9, when she knocked 3 times, I'd knock back twice. Maybe it was some kind of code. Maybe this was our way of talking. I don't know why, but it made me feel less alone. Then the knocking changed. It was a Wednesday. 9 o'clock sharp. The sound came again, but this time, it wasn't knuckles. It was nails. I heard the difference immediately. A sharp, brittle, almost scraping quality. Knock. 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 Same rhythm. Different sound. I didn't answer. The next night it was sharper still. Not just knocks, scratching. As if fingernails were dragging across the wall. I turned off the TV and cranked the music. Loud. The sound didn't stop. I called the police. I have a problem with my neighbor, I said. She knocks on the wall every night. Is she threatening you? The dispatcher asked. No, but it's strange. It's freaking me out. If she's not threatening you, it's not a crime. You can file a complaint with the building management. I hung up. I called the manager again. Rachel keeps knocking on the wall every night, I said. I need to talk to her. I'll let her know, he replied. The next day, I found a note slipped under my door. Check your wall. Maybe that's where the problem is. It was from Rachel. The handwriting was small, neat. I went to the wall. Pressed my ear to it. Nothing. I stepped back and studied the paint. It looked normal. Off-white, no cracks, no stains. I had no idea what she meant. At 9 that night, the knocking returned. But this time, it was different again. Fingernails tapping on the wall, quick and deliberate. And then I heard breathing. Slow, deep breathing. Coming from inside the wall. I jerked back. My heart was pounding. I ran to the bedroom and shut the door. I called Claire. She didn't pick up. She was working late. I called my friend Mark. Can you come over? I asked. I need someone here. Now, he said. It's already 9. Yeah. He showed up about 20 minutes later. I told him about the knocks, the nails, the breathing. He looked skeptical. It's just terrible soundproofing, he said. You're hearing things from her side. These aren't just sounds, I said. Mark went to the wall and pressed his ear against it. I don't hear anything, he said. Wait. It'll happen at 9. We sat and waited. At 8:59, I was already on edge. At exactly 9, it came. Knock. 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 Mark jumped and stepped back from the wall. What the hell was that? It's her, I said. That's weird, he admitted. Then we heard it again. The breathing. Slow. Deep. Right against the wall. Mark retreated to the bedroom. We need to call the police, he said. I called 911. I told them about the knocks, the breathing, the neighbor doing something in the wall. The police arrived 40 minutes later. 2 officers. One younger, one older. The older one looked tired, the way cops do when they've already decided nothing serious is happening. I showed them the wall. Right here, I said. Every night at 9. When's the next time it usually happens? The younger one asked. Tomorrow at 9. We'll come back tomorrow, the older one said. We'll check it out. They left. The next day I stayed home from work. I waited. Around 8, I called Claire. They're coming at 9, I said. The police. What is going on? She asked. She sounded scared. I don't know, I said. At 9, someone knocked at my actual door. It was the police. The same 2, plus a third, younger officer. I pointed at the wall. It should start any minute. We waited. Nothing happened. Maybe she knows you're here, I said softly. Maybe, the younger cop replied. We'll talk to her, the older officer said. They went next door and rang Rachel's bell. No answer. They rang again. Silence. Can we open it? The older cop asked the manager, who'd come up with them. The manager unlocked her door. Her apartment was empty. Completely empty. No furniture. No boxes. No clothes. Just bare hardwood and blank walls. When did she move out? The older cop asked. I don't know, the manager said. She was supposed to be living here. The younger officer stepped into the apartment and walked over to the shared wall, the one adjacent to my place. He laid his palm flat on it. This is where you hear it from, he called. Yeah, I said from my doorway. He knocked 3 times on the wall. The sound came through into my place, dull but clear. See, he said. It carries both ways. There's no one here. It's probably just sound bouncing around the building. But I knew that wasn't it. The older cop looked at me. Maybe you're hearing things from another neighbor, he said. Sound travels strange in old buildings. It was a voice, I said. Breathing. Right in my ear. We didn't find anything, he said. If something else happens, give us a call. They left. The manager stayed behind with the keys in his hand. I'll check when she moved out, he said. Maybe she had some kind of maintenance issue. A broken pipe or something. He went into the empty unit. I heard his footsteps echo across the hollow floor. Then he came back out. There's nothing in there, he said. She's been gone a while. I remember standing in my doorway, staring at the open entrance to an empty apartment. Staring at the wall. At the spot where the sounds had come from. The next day, I tried to find Rachel. I asked the management when she'd signed the lease. They said 3 months ago, through some broker. No phone number. No address. Nothing. I tried searching online. Rachel plus my street name. Nothing. Rachel plus my building. Nothing. I asked around. Neighbors on other floors. No one knew who she was. A week went by. Nothing happened. Then one night, I heard knocking. But this time, it wasn't on the wall. It was on my front door. 3 in the morning. The sound snapped me awake. 3 deliberate knocks. Knock. 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 I got out of bed and walked to the door. Looked through the peephole. No one. I opened the door. The hallway was empty. But on the floor, right in front of the threshold, there was a folded piece of paper. I picked it up and opened it. I'm still here. Same handwriting. Small. Neat. Rachel's. I shut the door and threw the deadbolt. Twice. I called Claire. Can you come over? I asked. Right now. What happened? Please, I said. She arrived around 5 in the morning. I showed her the note. Her face went pale. We need to call the police, she said. I called. This time, a different pair of officers showed up. They examined the note. Asked if I'd seen anyone in the hallway. I told them I'd just found the paper on the floor at 3 a.m. We'll check the cameras at the entrance, one of them said. The next day, he called me back. The cameras don't show anything, he said. No one entered the building after 11 p.m. How is that possible? I asked. Maybe the note was left earlier and you only noticed it at night, he said. Or maybe it was someone from inside the building. But I knew that wasn't it. I knew it was her. It's been 7 months since then. I still live in the same apartment. I haven't heard the knocking again. But I remember. Every day. I remember checking the door before bed. Once. Twice. 3 times. I remember looking down at the floor, looking for a new note. I remember lying awake and listening to the sounds at night. Claire suggested we move. I said no. I don't know why. Maybe I'm afraid that if I leave, she'll just follow me somewhere else. I still see the words in my head. I'm still here. I don't know where here is. Maybe in the wall. Maybe in this building. Maybe only in my mind. But I know one thing, every evening, when the clock creeps toward 9, my body tenses up. I wait. I wait for the sound. And I still wait. Because I know she'll come back. She's still here. And one day, when I open the door and there is no note on the floor, I'll know that the paper wasn't the only thing she left behind. Maybe the empty apartment was a setup. Maybe Rachel was never real. Maybe it was something else entirely. Maybe it was me knocking on that wall, and I just don't remember. I don't know. But every night, I check the door. 3 times. And I listen to the wall. In case she decides to say it again. I'm still here.